allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start public comment, 5-minute limit on agenda items only.
Was Ben gonna come early today? Because we had questions about the road use agreement. Didn't he say he'd come early?
I don't think he is, no.
Well, it's not on the agenda, so I bet he was coming early if it was on the agenda, but since it's not, we can't comment. I bet that's why it's not early. Geyser. Little question about the wording you have for tabling the solar ordinance and passing it to zoning. I know you've said that having the solar ordinance in process, like it has been since last spring, kind of counts like a moratorium. Does using the terminology of tabling it and passing it to zoning, is that still in process, or is tabling it by you guys gonna effectively counteract the temporary moratorium bill that it's working as?
I don't think it changes anything.
No, it doesn't.
And will you actually be asking zoning to meet soon then to start going over it?
Yeah, I think,
That'll be up to Tavius.
And,
Get the process started.
And I know sometimes you guys don't always, explain what you're doing before you take action. So what is the taking action to share the ordinance with the Heartland Bristol County? Is it because you think it's good and you wanna spread it, or you're looking for outside input to add to ours? What are you doing with that?
To officially be able to share it, our lawyer said that we had to take action on it, so that's all it is, it's just to officially share it to them, even though it's on the website.
But we're
and
sharing it
everything.
to try to get feedback to add more to ours?
We're sharing it to give them, to show them what we're using.
Are some of them working on their own right now? that you
I
know?
don't know.
I don't know, they just wanted to be able to look at it and see what ours was.
Okay. And then, the animal control contract, I thought before it's gonna be, I just wanna make sure it's still on. We're approving it to start at the beginning of the year. She just got the contract paperwork ready early to sign and move forward with, or what's going on with the contract?
What are we gonna do there, Bill?
I thought it was coming after the first of the year. I'm assuming she wants it to go in and it'll affect the first of the year.
Right, but I thought when she was here, she had said she'd bring it early if the paperwork is ready, and then just have dates set for the beginning. I thought that's might
Yeah.
be happening today.
So we'll see when she gets there.
And do you have any idea what the handbook policy changes are?
I don't know right off the top of my head, but Tammy will probably be able to let everybody know what they are.
Do we have a hard copy now?
I don't have the whole handbook.
Oh.
And then, just 'cause
I forgot, I'm sorry.
I don't wanna take more than my time, I would like to say, I appreciate that you guys are moving forward with having zoning look at the solar ordinance, and I do hope that you push for that sooner than later and not wait till after the holidays if possible. I know it's a long process, and the sooner they can get started, the better for people spending the time looking at it and not pushing it till the last minute, so I hope that does come through soon. Thank you. Yeah, we were just curious what the handbook changes were.
I had a whole list on.
Anything major?
No, we'll go over them today.
Go over to the HR
Uh-huh.
section.
Mm-hmm.
At 9:30, 9:40.
Yeah.
How you doing, Keith? Okay. Good to see you. You keeping class? Gladbrook settled down? You keeping Gladbrook settled down?
Well, you're pretty quiet, Keith, you snuck in here and like, oh, mouse, what the heck?
I'm always quiet. I've known you a number of years, I wouldn't say that's probably true.
I've known you a long time too, Keith.
I'll say it's Gladbrook.
Good.
Nice to have you here this morning.
Bill,
I didn't wanna run over.
I just wanna say thanks for moving forward with the solar ordinance. I realize it's not on the agenda, I was waiting to see if anybody else would talk, but I'd appreciate it if you'd allow Karen 2 minutes to, tell us what's going on with the redistricting.
Yeah, I can do that.
Karen who? Oh, Karen.
Go start it. Oh,
So-
that's right, the cops
You're
here.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. As long as you don't tase me. So last week, at the end of the week, I got a email from the LSA office, and they did not like the little portion down here in Tama Township, that is not contiguous with the Tama precinct. So they want us to move that into the Montour precinct. And I don't hold much pull, so that will probably be done. So I think once that is done, I'm asked them if the precincting board has to meet again, if we have to republish all that, so we didn't hear back on if we have to do that. Depending on what that is, I look for everything else to be approved, and it should go smoothly after that, so.
And how many people were in that area?
It's on the census, there's 7 people in that block. I don't know if they are registered voters, if they're even of age to be a registered voter, I just know there's 7 bodies in that block. So that means that Montour precinct will have to have ballots for those 7 people, the machine will have to be programmed for those 7 people.
That's high for priority stuff there.
Mhm.
I tried to say that we don't wanna do that, but I don't hold much pull, so I will be having to do that.
Somebody at the state level actually caught that.
Yeah, and that's what upsets me is, previously we have been able to do this, and now all of a sudden we can't do that.
But as far as the other lines for people that may run for supervisor,
Yes,
you're
they did
fairly
not
certain
question
that those
any
will
other
be,
lines,
okay.
So those should get passed, no problem.
Is that map available online still? I thought it had been at one point.
I say if it was online, we haven't taken it down, so it should still be there, otherwise you can get a copy of the map in our office too, we still have
Thank you.
files, so.
Now, do we still have to wait for a final
Yes.
word from the state though?
Correct, yes,
Well,
they
we
will
can
send us
assume
final.
That they're leaving it alone.
And that needs to be done by the end of the year.
So this is all, according to their packet they gave us, this is supposed to be done by the 15th, so that's why I'm questioning, if we have to get that committee together, it's not gonna be done by the 15th. So.
Cause that's Friday, right?
Right.
You might have already said this, but, I didn't hear. Does that significantly change the population?
It does not, it's only 7 people, and so it still falls
still
within the
in that.
parameters that they're able to be moved to that district.
Well, thank goodness there's not an apartment complex with 50 people living there, right?
We need to get 20 more people to move into that block.
It would sure make it more worthwhile.
So gentlemen, I just have a question, being she's a rural trader. The working solar ordinance that we all saw back in, was it May? is that still the same working ordinance, or has there been changes made to that since May that's going to the zoning commission?
No, there has not been any changes.
There has been no changes, so the copies that we all have back from the May public hearing, everything is still the same?
Yes.
And that's what's going to the zoning commission? And so are they gonna continue to study and research the whole issue of solar?
Yes, they'll do whatever they need to do to come up with the ordinance.
Okay, but then does that ordinance come back to you three who make the final decision on what goes?
Yes.
Okay.
They will have a copy of, Carlton's, the one he drew up too, don't they?
That's the one you're talking
That-
about.
Oh, okay, you were there for
Okay,
that?
Yeah.
I'm glad you made that clarification. The one I'm talking to is the one that Carlton Summons came up with.
Yes,
Yes.
but you know, there's quite a few things in there that need to still be discussed
Distances.
and decided on.
And I didn't know if those changes have been made already during the course of these past few months?
No.
No.
It's just like it was, but it's a draft, it's not.
I know, it's not set in stone,
It's
it's a
not.
working copy.
Yes.
So at some point in time, will we be able to take a look at that working copy?
Well, sure, they'll have zoning, have, what, three, they have 3 meetings here?
Yeah, I believe so, don't.
Okay. So at some time, can the public look at that working copy before it goes back to you for your final vote?
I would imagine.
Yeah.
You can come to the zoning meetings too.
Yeah.
They're
I
open.
know, which they're held in this room, right?
Right.
Okay. So then I'm assuming that there will be no more public hearings, correct?
There'll be 3 public hearings.
From the zoning.
From the
From the
zoning.
zoning, you need 3 public hearings to pass an ordinance.
Right.
But there will be no more public hearings like what we had at the Ryan meeting. in May.
That was just an informational meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That
that's
wasn't
what I'm, so
a
that's what I'm
no.
saying, you know, once that working copy comes out,
Yep.
people look at it,
Yep.
pro or con, there will be no more public, well, when you wanna pass the ordinance. There will still be 3 hearings
Yeah.
where we can voice
Yes.
pros or cons.
Yep.
But zoning doesn't have to do a hearing before they send it to you, right? They just send you your recommendation, the hearings would happen after you receive it and approve it, and then we take the
I'm not
hearings and you
ex-
approve it?
I'm not exactly sure.
I think so.
I think that's how it works.
That's how it works.
That works.
Yeah, zoning
Do
makes
you-
recommendations.
Do you have an estimated timeline here, or is it gonna be the whole course
No.
of next year that?
I don't know, it's gonna take a while.
Well,
There's a
and-
lot of
and
decisions need to be
Believe
made.
me,
Yeah.
yes, it's multifaceted, multi-leveled, and I'm glad that you are taking the time to
And
really
once
look at this.
it gets passed on to them, it's all in their hands when they meet and everything.
Tavius,
I don't think,
and
Tavius,
Tavius had that meeting with them just to get to know each other,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Did they set a meeting that night, or?
I
I
don't think
don't
so.
think
I
so.
don't think so.
I don't think so.
But then
So-
that ordinance will come back to you 3, you'll look at it, there'll be 3 hearings for it before it's passed.
Yeah.
That's very good. Just so we're on the same page.
I do have a follow-up question to that. Will you be sending any letters that you've gotten from people and I know the county recorded video from the informational hearing, will you be sending that to the zoning board so they have all that information available to review when they're reviewing your ordinance?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we'll just give them what we have for a draft and then they'll have to go from there.
So if we wrote in a letter with our suggestions to be added, we need to send it to the zoning board separately? Okay.
Okay, I have 9:30. We'll start our regular meeting. And I have an motion to approve last week's minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I've been moved and seconded to approve last week's minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Ben.
Morning, Deb.
Laura.
Make you a spot here.
Alright, thanks.
How's things going?
Oh, they're going.
Must have had a special weekend, you got at your haircut.
Yeah.
Looks very nice, Ben. We like it when our engineer is respectfully groomed.
Sorry if I wasn't, I guess.
No, I didn't say that.
I guess
No, I didn't say that.
You're here to make everybody happy, aren't you?
Alright. We're gearing up for, stockpiling rock at Chelsea this week. We got pretty much filled up in mature area, and we will be moving on to Chelsea this week, so. Got guys doing brush cutting in a few different areas again this week, with the weather being nice and none of that white stuff, sticking around
Don't
for.
talk about
Yeah.
that yet.
I won't say the word.
No, please.
Okay. And then on K Avenue, all the piles were driven last week, and we'll be working on forming up the abutments, hopefully pouring the abutments late this week on
Sure.
those.
Possibility of getting that done before, depends on the weather, right?
It depends on weather and how get after it, they get going, so.
I talked to Dorothy Bachman, she
Yeah.
lives right there by the bridge, and she said the people are really good to work with, and
Okay.
they've really been great to deal with.
Okay, good.
So that's nice to hear.
Oh, yeah, that is. And then I was gonna just let you guys know, I will be gone, Wednesday afternoon and be back Friday afternoon. The Iowa County Engineers Conference this week, so I'll be down there in Des Moines. So,
Okay.
and then I have a voucher for the T47, which is from E27 to Highway 96, from last year. This is the final voucher, kind of, getting that project closed out.
Okay.
So,
We need a motion.
Do we need a motion? Okay, and I have a motion to approve the voucher for the paving project on T47.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the voucher for T47. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
found the spot. I should have.
We got 11th.
And then we got a utility permit, from Iowa Regional Utilities Association. They're putting in a water line to a house, on 330th Street, on E Avenue. So they're, gonna be going under the road, and be about 5 foot underneath the road, on either side, so, that's for you.
Okay. Oops.
Done with that. Never check, make sure Bill got all the lines.
One signature, right?
Yep,
Okay,
chairman
we're
of the board.
That's right.
In the right spot. All right,
He's the man.
awesome. So,
Just one on this.
Yeah, yeah. So,
There we go.
and then, I got a, response back from our Heartland attorney on the, road use agreement. There's a little formatting change, and then also just, added a sentence for, to be more concise. But other than that, they didn't see anything, out of the ordinary that we shouldn't be able to
Okay.
sign, so I'll have
So
that.
we should be good next week.
I'll have that, ready for on Monday next week.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Sounds great, Bill. Thank you for getting hold of
Sound
me
good.
appreciate it.
and getting it all squared away.
Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks.
Safe trip to Des Moines.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you come back.
I'll come back.
Okay.
Ready?
Tammy.
Okay.
Miss Stanley.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and sit down, 'cause I got a few on them, so.
Yeah.
I know. The, paperwork that I sent you, one was highlighted in yellow and one's highlighted in blue. So the yellow is the one that, we met department head wise. And those are the ones I want you to approve. The ones in blue are the questionable ones, but I'll tell you about those in a second. So page 11, just the website posting, for job positions. We'd already, started that, but I just wanna make sure that that's in the book. so that's why that's in here. Page 23, I think that, I added that sentence due to the fact that we never actually had closed before. I think maybe one other time for bad weather, and this year we had, a couple days that we did. Just wanna make sure that it's in the book, that, that decision is up to you guys, if we decide to close the buildings or not. Each department can close their office, but when it comes to the buildings, it's your decision, whether they use benefits or they're paid. So, later in there, the exit process, we have never really had one, tried to do it, a little difficult, but now we decided we're just gonna do it. And it's not saying that we're not gonna pay you, it's just that the process of you being paid your last paycheck is gonna be, that might be an issue if you don't, come see me, give me back our, your ID cards and keys and all that stuff, so that's why that was added in there. The next page, which is 25, so we did change wording, on that one. That one's all in blue, and I have no problem with this whatsoever, because actually, we didn't really do it that way anyway, so I say the one that's highlighted in blue talks about, we just took out on the wage policy, step policy, because if you remember correctly, things are based upon department head and, percentages of wages. Each department's a little bit different too, such as roads. So that's why we changed the wording, so that it's not everybody, it's individual, and it's just about the wage, instead of being on a flat scale, because we don't really have a flat scale. So that blue section on page 25, I would agree with that if you're okay with it. It's mainly wording. We're not changing a policy, we're just changing the wording in that one. So if you guys are okay with that one, that would be great. On page 26, taking out the part-time hired grandfather for longevity, because we only had 2 of those employees, and they have both since retired from or left the county. We don't need that in there anymore. So that's just a wording issue also, on that page. Then page 28, so we are allowed to do, okay, so no meals are gonna be paid without an itemized receipt. Okay, so we go a little bit further down, and I'm gonna talk to you about that, Laura's suggestion. One thing is you can put a tip on there, that is, you can do that. You can, do that, when, it would be, of course you're gonna question it, but it's part of the bill when you have to pay when you're out. And so it is allowable. But when you go down to, 22, so that one I think we just need to take that, no tip off there. Just scratch that one out. But when you go down to meal, charges on county credit card, this is truly a Laura issue, and I'm sure, and it affects Karen too. So what's happening is when our employees are using our county credit cards, and if they're out and they charge more than they're supposed to, it's an issue, right? They're not sending in their itemized receipts, and then everybody's in an uproar, and it's a fight to get the bill paid. The bill is late, right? We do not pay late fees. That's the department head's responsibility, or the person using it. Laura's suggestion is to do with using credit cards for food. And this comes from also with Karen and the inability to prove what's being purchased, or the fact that nobody's turned in their receipts.
So that'd be like a reimbursement?
Yeah, okay, yes. So you would not be able to use, now I know, this is gonna be an issue though, you guys, because I want you to think about this one before you approve it, because Dennis is gonna have a cow, right? His deputies go out of town, they use the, work credit card, they charge food on it. I assume VA will probably have a cow, maybe the county attorney's office might have a cow. Because it's gonna be a huge change. But I really believe that before county credit cards, we all paid for our food anyway, so what's the big deal?
And they're still getting reimbursed.
They do get
Yeah, they're gonna get
reimbursed.
reimbursed.
It's just that it's not on the county card, and, you know, it is too hard on, you know, we pay hundreds of thousands of claims every week. And it is not Karen's job to monitor every department, it's the department head. But when the department head isn't monitoring those purchases, or it is the department head doing it, not putting the itemized receipt, that's why we get in trouble. You know, that is an issue, so in order to stop that, if you take that completely away, that puts it back on them and says, well, you paid for it, and then if you don't prove to us, we're not gonna pay you. Not our fault, you know what the requirements are, and, I mean, that's probably a good idea. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about
Are
it.
we still gonna do those spreadsheets that was brought up to give to the department heads to turn into you guys to itemize?
Probably not, 'cause I haven't heard anything about it anymore.
Did we not talk about that with, the auditor?
I think we did, yeah.
You thought it all was a good idea? Were you not
But
in that?
nothing's, I was there, but
Okay.
nothing's been decided if that's gonna
Do you
happen.
remember what I'm talking about?
Kind of.
Laura was on board, so she probably, I mean, she would remember, but, yeah. It was something that the department heads would have, and it's their responsibility to have it all itemized on a spreadsheet to give to Karen, so she wouldn't have to look everything up. That's been there.
Well, they're supposed to be, well, to be totally honest, every single thing that comes through for reimbursement has to be itemized. I don't care what bill it is, I mean, just like Amazon, it has to show exactly what was purchased.
Right.
I don't know what's right or wrong, I'm bringing it to you guys because I personally don't care, either way, it doesn't, but it affects her, it affects the auditor's office,
Right.
Yeah.
it's cumbersome, and I don't think people are really listening when we say we're not gonna pay you.
Mm-hmm.
Until
Yeah,
we-
this
until
would
we
be
go to
for
not
everyone.
pay them, and then they get crabby.
Right, and then they have late fees, but you know what, you know the rules of using that card, if you choose not to follow them, you shouldn't be allowed to use the card, right?
Amen, sister.
I mean, seriously, that's just how it needs to be.
Yeah. That
But-
sheet was made for everything too, that was talked about at Amazon and Menards or whatever.
Right.
It's not for $250 shop.
Right.
It needs to be,
Right.
you know,
Right.
wood, two by
I remember
four.
what you're talking about, I don't.
But the big, so I'm not too, that's not the biggest issue, the biggest issue is the food
Mhm.
and no itemized receipts. That's the biggest issue we had. It's not, I mean, I think we've corrected a lot of the older stuff, that was an issue, and it's the food. Cause here's what happens, you're only allowed so much money per day, or, you know, depending on where you're at, what meal. When you are out in a more expensive place and you overspend, that's not fair to the other employees that stay within the guidelines. You're spending outside the guidelines. That stops that. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I mean, that's a big issue for Laura, because every year it's still an issue when we get audited, because they have to fight to get receipts. We shouldn't have to fight to get receipts. Either get them or you don't.
Almost every meeting with Beth Miller, there's a complaint about it.
Exactly, so if we do away with it, we're done.
Maybe we should.
I don't know what you guys think, I just know that,
They still get reimbursed though.
absolutely, you don't lose your
Yeah, they're still gonna get
reimbursement,
reimbursed up to the limit.
but you have to be responsible.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I feel like after 5 years of fighting to get it right, we still can't get it right, a few departments after 5 years, then if you just cut it off, you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's done. You don't wanna, you want reimbursed, you'll turn it in.
It's not a dumb idea. I actually agree with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sick?
Well, no, not yet.
Okay, just checking.
But
I think,
I think
It makes sense to me.
I think it makes sense.
I do too, I mean, I hate to do it, but I don't
Yeah,
know any
but
other whether,
we gotta,
no other way to make it right.
we gotta do something to
Yeah.
get it.
Cause
Straighten
that's all we
out.
get in trouble for, gee, hers, let's get rid of it,
That's right.
right? So if you guys are okay, that's great.
I'll be okay with that.
Okay. The retirement, the next page, page 33, the retirement plan. We don't do, matching amount to the individual's funds, so I wanna strike those words, it is in dark blue. And then the voluntary deferred compensation, that's another subject that, you guys have to think about, and that voluntary deferred compensation is those ones where people come in and wanna sell to us to do deferred compensation plans or some kind of insurance, short-term, long-term disability. Right now, the way we have it set up is, we do have 5 other plans besides our Hartford and life insurance, we have those 5 plans, right? What it says in our policies is that we have to have at least 5 people to do that. In all these years, we haven't added anybody since I've been doing it. I don't know that you wanna add anymore, it's a nightmare. That's why we don't do it. We try to avoid doing it, so my question is, you know, if you just take it out of the policy, then we don't have one, we don't have to worry about it. So,
So
I
what
mean-
will you do for the people that are already using that program? Do they
that,
just-
they stay, that's no big deal.
Okay.
That's no big deal, just not adding new ones. Cause you get people like Aflac that wanna come in, and everybody's, oh yeah, let's do it, you only get one person to sign up for it. It's not worth it, it's too much work for the county to have to do for that one plan. You know, if it was a plan, the county's gonna stand behind and say, hey, we want you guys to consider this, and, you know, we put it out on benefits day, that's fine. But I think for somebody coming in and just wanting us to, you know, get a new plan, we never get enough people to do it.
Yeah, okay,
So, I like to just strike that out of the book completely.
okay.
You know, and like I said, if you guys wanna do that, that's fine, but, you know,
I'm gonna strike that.
okay, alright. And the next one was, on that page is the, yellow, and that's the change of the vacation. My recommendation, to change it starting January 1st, since it's so late in the year. We are gonna have to catch up on some employees that have been here a short amount of time and go ahead and give them that first, 40 hours. But, that'll be after their 60 days, but how it changes is to 2 weeks at, your 2nd year, 3 weeks at your 3rd year, 4 weeks at your 8th year, and 5 weeks at your 15th year. So, from what I understand, Michelle, I talked to her, and it would just be putting it in the system. It'll, you know, it's gonna have to accrue it to get it caught up to where it pays out like it's supposed to, but she said it should not be an issue at all. And that's the one you guys like, so.
Yeah.
Okay, on page 35, that one, the floating holiday, all I wanted to do is add in there, that we've always made it a requirement to use the floating holiday as 8 hours. You cannot break it up and use it whenever you want. So I just wanted that in writing for you guys. Cause if you're gonna make it happen, then you need to make sure it's in your book. The next one, we did add in holiday pay will be given during FMLA. We give our holidays and our sick leave no matter if they're out or not. So I wanted this in the book so that it shows that happens. Cause what happens when they're on FMLA, and they get those holidays, then they'll have to use them also, okay? But that's the requirement of being on FMLA is using all or using all your benefits before you can be on there, okay? So, and then we just want to strike out to be eligible for holiday pay. You know, we have people who, if we leave this in here's my thoughts on it. It's already it's been happening for years. It's in here and it's great if you're mad and you wanna discipline an employee, but it doesn't make any sense, cause everybody does it. And that is, you give time off before a holiday, use your vacation, whatever. This says if you don't work the day before the day after, you don't get paid. That's not how it works. So I just soon take it out.
Sure.
Okay. The next one. Okay, so under that's page 38, contribution, number 6. That also goes back to the prior page, it's in conjunction with FMLA too. So, right now, we don't have it where our benefits, we make them use with FMLA, we let them use them separately, so, I just wanna make sure the writing matches what we just, it just needs to cover what we actually do.
Okay.
Page 46. This one's a big one. This is the work comp section. This is actually according to the code, the work comp code. We're trying to clean things up, make sure everybody's following properly. We want to be able to follow how many people are off on work comp for doctor's appointments, what it's costing us. We did talk about this because the choice is that we pay or they pay, one of the two. What happens is, in other words, if right now when our employees are injured, the day, according to the code, the day of injury is paid. You don't have a choice. Day of injury is paid the whole day, whether they work the whole day or not. What happens after that is when they go to doctor's appointments, do we pay? Does work comp pay? So we have always been to where we pay, okay? And the first 3 days, this is really strange how this works. The first 3 days are not paid, but if you do have surgery, you're gonna be off longer than 14 days, 15th day goes back and covers the first 3 days. Got that? So I just want the policies, I just want it wrote up and in the manual because it, you know, sometime I'm gonna leave, somebody needs to know how we do work comp. So, that is the policy that I put in here, and this is all according to the code. So I did talk to Judy a little bit about it, and the way that we do it is a pretty typical, you know, 50-50 in the state, how people do it. We put it on our insurance, we're gonna pay for it in the end. Pay for it now, pay for it later. You know, it's one or the other. I feel like paying for it now is probably the better way for us. I don't know what you think, but that's the way we've always done it. So I prefer for it to stay that way, if you guys are okay with that. No, I mean, and it just costs more. It just costs so much more when it comes to work comp and stuff, so. And then, so that comes to disciplinary action for safety. I did.
Do you have a page number?
Oh,
please?
sorry, 47. 47. So Garrison and I talked about this, and remember we did talk about discipline for continued accidents, things like that, because it costs us, and carelessness costs us a lot of money. So I don't think that Garrison and I discussed it, we decided, and that's why I'm bringing it to you guys, I don't think you can put a real disciplinary policy other than you can be disciplined. We've never really said to our employees before, we're gonna discipline you for safety. But now I think it's gotten to the point to where we're training all the time. We want you to be safe. When you don't have your hard hat on, you're gonna get in trouble. You need to have your hard hat on. If you get hit in the head, you know, it could be very serious, brain injury, whatever. So we did not put specifics of discipline. We decided that you could be disciplined for it in the handbook. And I think that maybe that kind of helps send a message, you know. What do you think? What are you thinking?
Doesn't that leave discipline wide open though?
It really does, but what are you gonna do? I mean, so a guy who gets hit by let's say one of our guys hits power line. Do you discipline him? One of our guys, his blade pops up and rocks, shoot up and bust windows in his truck. Are we gonna discipline him? So I think it's too hard to set parameters with the type of discipline. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's kind of what my question was too, though. Yeah, it's like going down the road with a dump truck, flip up a rock, or it falls off your truck, which
It hits somebody else's windshield.
Yeah, I mean you can't prove that came off the truck. You could have just kicked it up.
Right. And insurance is gonna pay it.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper to pay the windshield, or, you know, than it is to fight the claim. So, it's, the things that we're more concerned about, I think Garrison can attest to this, is the bodily injuries.
Yeah.
Those are the big deals, you know, because, you know, when you hurt your back, when you hurt your shoulder, that costs
Yeah.
lots of money, lots and lots in claims.
And it doesn't happen a lot in politics, but it could be for work price. I mean, just a common sense clause too, I mean, you just gotta use common sense, I mean, what's right here might not be right there.
Right.
And the person, and there is common sense there.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that people have been warned, you know, when you run into the building twice, you know, the third time, hey, you know, we need to really talk about this. You know, why are you running into our building 3 times? I mean, I'm not saying it's happening, but I'm just saying, you know.
It could happen.
So, right, so that's the best that Garrison and I can come up with, because I just can't, I don't know how you would pen discipline on specific actions.
Right.
There's too many of them.
Somebody being careless versus somebody doing like a minor thing, maybe not wearing something right or something, you're not gonna discipline them the same way. You can't,
Correct.
you can't say, okay,
Common sense.
you had your hard hat cocked back, you should be wearing this way. You did that twice, you're fired next time, you can't. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something, but versus somebody doing something really careless and saying, you know, you need to go, or I'm done, or what, I mean, it's a bigger deal. You can't take apples and oranges and make it
Right.
one thing. That's kinda why we're getting at, so if you make it too specific, you can't do that, so you basically take it on the thing, and then if they do something, I do reports and write stuff up, and I got a report to back it up. That's the same, you know, so that's gonna help substantiate that as long as the department head did. You can't, you know, a guy doesn't tie his shoes versus, you know, ruins a piece of equipment on purpose. It's not the same thing.
Discipline is just, the way it's worded sounds very vague. I mean, do you have any parameters you can add at all? Like,
Yeah, it's
I don't,
You know-
I don't think you can, because we have so many different things. When you have a large amount of people working, I mean, it's not just roads department, I mean, our other departments, people get hurt too. And so it's just so hard to do that, and is it something that, you know, I'll give you an example. We had an employee carrying a bag with some stuff in it. Hit her knee, did something to it from the cardboard of the file folder, she ended up having to have surgery. So these are the things that I can't, it's too hard to wrap discipline around that. The things we're more worried about is your PPE, the things that you're required to wear or to do prior to or prior after using your equipment, even checking your equipment before you get in and use it. So it is vague. At least it's in there.
Yeah.
Cause we've never had it before, so that's the one thing I want in there, so. We're gonna skip 48 for a second, cause that's gonna be a lengthy, the rest, you know, it's the phone thing, so. 54, all we did was make a change to the proper rate on number 6, it's 55. It did strike out, loss of mileage reimbursement, I just put disciplinary action. So that really hasn't changed, the policy did not change. The 25, on page 57, that's an added paragraph, and I think it needs to be in there. That is talking bad about others. I don't like that, so, okay. We'd already discussed all those at the department head meeting, everybody was okay with that, if you guys are okay with that.
Like, what are you talking about?
Page 50.
Yeah, no, I mean,
oh.
what are you talking?
I'm talking about, when there's things published in the paper talking bad about other employees, and we need to stay away from that. First of all, that puts the person doing it in a very slanderous position. It also, opens things up that nobody, I mean, how would you even know it's true, what's going on? So, again, we ask our employees, always have, not to do things like that, but, so I put it in writing.
Don't we need transparency in reporting?
You know know what, you can have transparency, but there is no reason for me to go to the newspaper and talk, say you worked for the county, talk bad about you. If I have an issue with that, I need to take it up with my department head or their department head. There's no business and there's no reason for that. It has nothing to do with transparency. It has to do with common courtesy.
You're
and what
talking
we do.
more public, like newspapers and stuff.
Right, we don't,
Yes.
yeah, we don't, there's no reason to do that. That's disrespectful in every way, because everybody then assumes they know what's going on. No, you really don't.
How
You
does
just
the
know
public
one
find
side.
out if there's no reporting? I mean,
I'm
aren't you
not
kind of
quite sure.
limiting reporting of news?
No.
Doing that?
No, I'm talking.
So how do people find out what's going on?
Well, you're more than welcome to come ask, but I'm
Ask
saying,
who?
you can ask anybody, but the problem is that we don't tell things that are not, this is about being truthful, more
Yes,
than
that's right.
anything else. No, this is about, I'm just gonna tell you, this is about being truthful. There is no reason that should be going on. None. How do you know any of that's true? And that's what happens, and then everybody thinks, oh, this person's a bad person, or this person did that. You don't know, so we should not be doing that.
Isn't part of news reporting?
I
Isn't that
assume.
what news is?
I assume. So
Tammy,
I think it's important that stays in there.
Tammy, I think you're talking more about employees going to the newspapers, airing grievances and stuff like that.
Exactly, it should be internal, it should not be, because we have to deal with that, that's our jobs, is to deal with
Yep.
employee issues, it's not for the paper to do or for the public to do, we need to do that first. That's what we get paid to do, we need to monitor our employees, make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, it doesn't have to be, for everybody else to help, we got enough, we don't need anybody else's help, we do monitor our employees a lot on that stuff, so. You're right, Lynn, that is exactly what it is. So, okay, page 48, that's the tough subject, and I know we talked about it, I don't even know where to tell you to go with it. It's about the phones, and again, I'm gonna say that Brent Henders made it very clear, that those phones are public record, you're using them for work, they're open, they're subject to FYA too. So, do a lot of our employees, use their phone for work like that? I don't think so. I think we just have a few people in the county that probably use their cell phone for that. Does that mean that you make that person have a second phone? I don't know. And then we talk about phone reimbursement. Do we really need to do it? I'm kind of mixed on that because I'm thinking, okay, the reason that was truly set to begin with was to offset costs, because when cell phones first come out, it was very expensive for minutes. Well, that has since changed. But then I think, okay, but a lot of times you reimburse for the usage of other equipment that would fall underneath that. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I don't know what you guys wanna do. I don't know what you think. If you wanna wait and talk about it later, that would be great too, but I'm just not sure. I don't know what the right answer is.
I think it made a big difference when you had to pay for more minutes and people were using their phones and it's
Mhm.
costing them more.
Mhm.
There's
With unlimited.
unlimited
we
makes a
talked
big
about that.
difference, but at the Board of Health meeting I was zoomed in on,
Mhm.
it was brought up, I didn't know what direction it was going, I mean, I got the gist of it, but does the Board of Health have rules from like the state that so many people have to be available or connected, you know?
I
Something was said there and I didn't quite.
Okay, so there's two things with Board of Health, but I cannot tell you that, I would not know that answer. I do know that they have a grant that they apply for, and they pay all their employees for cell phones. And then, I know that they have people on call, but I do believe they have an on-call phone. And I think they pay them $1 an hour, or so much money over the weekend. To be totally honest, I think that's what they do, I don't know what the laws are. I can't speak to that, but, and and again, every office is different, so it's kinda hard to make a policy that, and you don't want one office doing it one way and one office doing it the other way. Cause then you got employees over here saying, oh, we get paid for our phone, and these guys over here, well, that's bullcrap, I don't get paid for mine. I mean, that's how it is,
Yeah.
you know how it is.
I just didn't wanna
Yeah.
approve it, or get it done and have them come over and have the paperwork, or it is a code or whatever, and say,
Yeah.
well, that's,
I don't know, I can't speak for public.
we,
Tammy, are people using county phones for personal use or personal
No.
use for personal
They're
phones for
using their
county use and getting
personal-
reimbursed?
They use their personal phones, for county use. So, some of it would be, okay, so let's look at roads for a second. So they call their employees on the phone. They used to do it on the radio, but the radio is very staticky and I don't think it's as good as it used to be. So they call their guys on cell phones. That's how they do it all day long. They don't get paid for that. They're going to time and attendance. They're not gonna get paid for that.
the foremans,
Huh? No.
yeah, they have,
They have their own phones. It's the employees under
Right.
them that don't. And so they get paid for the usage of that phone. So that's why, we question Department of Labor on do we have, because they're like, we're not gonna use our cell phone if we have to clock in, cause you're not paying us. And so Department of Labor says, it doesn't matter. If you require them, to do time and attendance on their cell phone, they need to do it. If not, then they need to make arrangements with you for what suits them. And that's what's gonna happen, so.
has that been an issue lately?
We haven't started it,
Yeah.
but we told them we were gonna start it, and now it's an issue.
Cause I remember years ago,
Yeah.
guys were complaining, oh, I gotta use my cell phone, but I don't know, I've heard that
I
lately.
don't even think most people have home phones anymore.
Oh, wow, no.
I don't have one.
I don't have one.
I mean, and it's just, I don't know what's right or wrong, you guys. I really don't, cause I can see it from everybody's point of view. I can't, but
So you're pretty much laying it on us then, huh?
I am.
That's very rude.
But it was brought up and, and if you wanna leave it the way it is, that's fine too. And then, but we do need to remind our employees that are using their personal phone for work, it is subject to FYA if